I chose to research how social class impacts sport participation and consumption, and I think this is an increasingly prevalent issue. So this presentation will kind of explore the effects on both while posing critical questions for consideration. So the impact on sport consumption, first of all, has seemingly developed kind of over the last few decades. So for evidence of this, we can look at the Fan Cost Index, which estimates the average cost of attendance for a family of 4, and basically includes 4 tickets, 4 small soft drinks, 2 beers, 4 hot dogs, 2 programs, 2 hats, and parking. So you can see from this graphic here that price has tripled since 1991. Basically, it costs close to $500 for the average 4-person family to attend an NFL game. Now, perhaps unsurprisingly, as a result, we've seen that attendance across the 4 major sports leagues has also declined. Major League Baseball had 70 million people in attendance in 2018, which was its lowest since 2003, and that was a 4% drop-off from 2017. Similarly, while the NFL increased its television broadcast viewership, the average attendance was down to its lowest since 2011. So this shouldn't come as a surprise, because what we've seen is that the average income for American families is just over $60,000. So again, is it feasible for families to spend $500, $600 on a 3-hour sporting event when they're struggling to meet basic, bills and demands of everyday life? Now, from a participation perspective, household income also is directly correlated with class stratification, and the way that it affects youth sport is that we've continued to see this trend towards privatization. So costly travel teams have become the norm, replacing the free or low-cost school programs that we've seen. So children from lower income families who can't afford the cost of these teams are seemingly falling behind regardless of their skills, just because they don't receive the same quality of training, aren't playing against top competition, and lack big tournament exposure. So the National Poll on Children's Health actually showed that children ages 12 to 17 from households that made less than $60,000 were almost 4 times as likely to quit playing than the children from families with over $60,000. Now, again, the impact of privatization also kind of helps dictate the type of sports that participants play, which we'll see down here. Kids Play USA, an organization that we'll talk more about later, estimates that hockey costs close to $10,000 a year per child because of the equipment, facility costs, enrollment fees, and coaches. So meanwhile, you see basketball, which doesn't require a lot of space or equipment and has a lot of youth leagues that are subsidized. So as a result, low-income children are often forced into certain sports and excluded from others despite their preference. So it's kind of inadvertent discrimination that puts them at a disadvantage. So there are a couple ways that we can combat this. One of the things that I found most important was supporting related legislature, such as the Personal Health Investment Today Act, which is basically, it's in front of Congress right now, and it's an act that would provide financial incentive for those that want to live a healthy and active lifestyle. So it rewards people for being active. And this is pertinent to youth sports in that the act would allow parents to use their health savings accounts or flexible spending accounts to pay for equipment and training and youth leagues. Another suggestion would be to include more inclusive waiver systems. So a lot of schools give out waivers or subsidies, but they're based on like a very low income maximum. So certain lower income, middle class and lower class families are being left out because they make more than that income maximum, but not enough to afford extracurricular activities. So along with that, it's important to support organizations such as Kids Play USA, which is working to make youth sport both affordable and accessible for low-income children by working with schools and communities. Finally, another suggestion would be to kind of find a way to set up carpools or transportation if low-income children are able to get a waiver or a subsidy and play in those leagues, because a lot of times that's one of the struggles for lower-income families is that they can't get to games, they can't afford gas or don't have the time or the money to get players to practice. Now, a couple questions for consideration here, but the two most prevalent, I think, are how can we raise awareness about the effects of class stratification on youth sport participation, and what can we do in our own communities to ease the burden of low-income families and create additional sport opportunities for those children. So again, this has been a really eye-opening project for me, as I've had a lot of opportunities growing up, so I think it kind of really shed light for me on what needs to be done moving forward to combat this issue as class stratification becomes more prevalent.